And although I hadn't explicitly said anything, my name had already been marked on the party attendance list as the sole absentee. Aw, man. It did save me the effort of turning the invitation down myself. Yeah, perhaps that was for the best.
ちわー応印前書でございます。コーネリア主催はおられますか。
近景謹んで申し上げる。自分がコーネリアであると知りたてまつれ。
啓発用のティッシュ持ってここに積みますよ。ほらお前らここに運べ運べ。
They were young police officers, and they made a lot of noise moving a bunch of large cardboard boxes. The police were a large part of the law and order during Halloween campaign, so they had procured a lot of goods to distribute. These goods were tissues for raising public awareness, with the slogan, "Drink moderately for a fun Halloween. Don't let alcohol swallow you," printed on them. Okay, well, that's something. Distributing goods daily in the station and in the shopping district adds up to a considerable number, so upwards of tens of thousands of items had already been arranged.
コーネリアちゃんこれ配るの。
そうと知りたまえ。これをすべて繁華街で配り訴えていくものなり。
Chatter, 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 chatter.
そこの段ボールを置いた場所さ、来週の納品物を置くために開けた場所なんだけどさ。
Uh-oh.
来週までにこれ片付く？
この程度の数、みんなで配ればあっという間に片付くなり。全く問題ないと知りたまえ。
Chatter, chatter. Giggle, giggle. Squawgle, squawgle. As evening fell, Cornelia was waiting alone at the staff entrance with a cardboard box perched on a trolley and filled with promotional tissues. Tissue distribution was to be done by volunteer employees only. Aw, man. And volunteer employees are not here. Staff was expected to endeavor to participate as much as possible, but in her heart, she already knew. She decided to wait no longer and started pulling the trolley with the huge cardboard box towards the shopping district in front of the station, all on her own. Ah, poor thing. The orange sky of the evening was beautifully blending into the purple of the night. A cool breeze was blowing as a reminder of the summer long gone. Within the crowds of people rushing over to the station, she selected a suitable street lamp as her base of operations and opened the box. Inside, she found it crammed to brim with tissues for raising public awareness. An unwilling participant giving them out couldn't convey their intent anyway. And that's right. In that case, it's better that they didn't come. Besides, I had already resigned myself to carry this out, whether anyone helps me or not.
近景謹んで申し上げるものなり。ハロウィン期間中の後期粛清にご理解ご協力賜りたく、ここにお願い申し上げ立てまつる。
For the people walking down the road unaccustomed to court language, my speech was unusual enough to turn their heads. My uniform must have seemed strange as well. In order to get their attention through the hustle and bustle of the huge crowd, I had to speak loudly enough to strain my voice. Even so, I had a lot of trouble distributing anything because people didn't seem to understand me. Even when they somewhat understood me, what I was saying sounded so stiff that they didn't feel it was worth stopping their feet. One by one, they all passed me by. Perhaps they were right about court language, after all. But even if I changed to regular speech now, I'm so unused to it that I probably still couldn't communicate with the people passing by.
ハロウィン期間中の後期粛清にご協力をお願いします。
I can't do it. I cannot raise my voice. It's not good. Why was that? Because for me, core language itself was a dream, a symbol of my ambitions. It was my dream to become one of the Inquisitors of Heresy and protect justice. I didn't want to let anything make me lose heart. Therefore, speaking colloquially went against my beliefs and saddened me. The people hurrying home were momentarily curious about the unusual uniform, but none of them bothered to take her tissues. The people promoting bars and karaoke clubs on the very same street knew certain tricks to attract people. Unfortunately, Cornelia had no idea that there were tricks to it in the first place. Her difficulties in giving out the tissues made her remember a story she had read in her childhood. And when she realized that right now she was the very image of the little match girl, her depression only deepened. Oh, I've been clinging on to the same dream since I was a child. Have I really come this far with my eyes blind to reality? Is this the job of the Inquisitor that I dreamed of for so long? Once she lost her faith, the people passing by stopped paying any attention to her whatsoever, as if agreeing with her thoughts.
ハロウィン期間中の後期粛清にご協力をお願いします。
Struggling with embarrassment, I resorted to regular speech in order to be understood. On that day, resolutely keeping at it until late at night, I finally managed to distribute half a box of tissues. Okay. It's better than no tissue. There was still a stack of 5 more boxes left at the office. I had to distribute an entire box's worth of day, otherwise it would be impossible to clear them all in just 1 week. I kept standing the whole time, so my feet were now feeling painfully exhausted. From tomorrow on, I'll have to endure both my regular and overtime work on aching feet. It doesn't even need calculating. It's impossible for one person to distribute everything within a week. I could make some joke about Cornelia, about remembering how Cornelia was standing in 1 feet because of Ariakey, but I don't think that's the right time. Obviously, there's far too many. But why did they come to this? Because it was the right thing to do, so I obviously just assumed that a lot of people would want to help out. So if there's many of us panning things out, I thought it was necessary to make an order large enough for all of us. But nobody came to help me. After working overtime until late at night every day for an entire week, I wanted to silently ask myself something. What do I really want to do? What do I really need to do? I learned how to give out leaflets. I had picked up some tricks like handing out 2 or 3 at a time, and I had gotten faster at the job, but despite all my efforts, I was still only halfway done as the final night approached. Tonight was the night the department's planned get together, the moon viewing party. Immediately after the chime had marked the end of the shift, all my seniors got on a rental bus and went to see the cherry blossom trees by a riverbed somewhere. And tonight, I alone was moving a cardboard box on a trolley to the station, preparing to give out tissues until the night falls. And just like yesterday, and just like the day before, and just like every day since I got this job. Speaking of the moon viewing, I heard that tonight there was going to be an especially large bright white full moon. Yeah, look at that moon. I found myself thinking that maybe my coworkers would, just this once, cooperate by refraining from drinking. No, they have no obligation to that either. My purpose here is to appeal to the crowd to spend the night peacefully, not to disturb my coworkers' social gatherings. An Inquisitor's duty is to destroy evil, not converse in court language. Doesn't this apply here too? I feel like I finally understood what Senior Aide, Gertrude, was trying to tell me that day. Even so, I'm still stuck in the same rut. I don't see any possible way to clear out this box by tonight. And even if I did, there's still a few full ones left at work. What should I do? I mustn't just throw them away. I should probably ask if the police would take care of the leftover ones. Now that I think about it, even police told me I was ordering more than enough, didn't they? I probably announced in clear court language that it was indeed the amount we required.
どうか。調子は。
It was Senior Aide Gertrude. In the span of this entire week, I had not seen her even once. In other words, she doesn't normally use this station, so she must have explicitly taken the time to come look at me here. Alright, well that's nice. She offered her outstretched hand. Before I knew what was going on, I was giving her a tissue that I had twisted from gripping onto it so tightly. She accepted it, and took a sidelong glance at the cardboard box with all the numerous tissues still remaining inside. She said nothing. It was just like the other day. She just suddenly approached me.
子供の頃に描いた夢は子供の夢でしかない。
She must have read my resume. She knew I had written about that on my job application.
現実はいつも理想とは違う。反論の余地。理想を変えるか自分を変えるかしかない。
Ever since the first day at work, my expectations had been betrayed. Even though I got the job I always yearned for, it was nothing like what I dreamed as a child. For that very reason, I ignored that reality and kept chasing my dream. Man, what a commentary on job chasing and all that. I surely did not expect this kind of story when I started this, But the perfect job that I imagined doesn't exist in this world. I was fascinated by the famous Inquisitors I saw on TV, and dreamt of a world with them that I myself might have made up.
2つある。何がナリオ？世界を変えるか自分を変えるか。無理と知りたまえ。どっちが？どちらも。ナリア。
If you are trying to promote your ideals alone, nobody will sympathize with you. The childhood dreams that grew and became stronger over time and became our ideals, those can no longer be changed. And that is true not only for me alone, and that is the same for everyone. So, changing myself is no different from changing the entire world. Neither of those are possible.
あなたは向いていない。何に？ナリア。
The job, my ideals, or perhaps the entire world. The senior aide didn't reply. Just like back then, she was waiting for me to understand it myself.
正座。座りなさい。ここでナリア。正座。
In the middle of the crowd, Senior A. Gertrude folded her legs underneath her thighs and sat up straight on the ground. Okay. Thinking I was about to get scolded as usual, I followed her example. I braced myself for the scolding, whatever may come. But she stayed as quiet as ever. Is that how Inquisitors get scolded? And in this silence, I pondered. But then, she barely held up a single finger. Did she want to tell me something? No. She wants me to look at what she was pointing at. But where? Above?
お月見。
Indeed, there was a perfectly white, round moon. Perhaps all my coworkers from the department were also seeing the same thing right now. Yeah, I guess so. In the end, it is also about easing yourself up a little bit, Cornelia. I can really imagine what tomorrow morning was going to be like. Their conversations would probably be filled with phrases like, "I'm not sure it was beautiful last night," and so on. I may not be present at the moon viewing party, but perhaps I might be able to join those conversations at least.
近景謹んで申し上げ立てまつる。
The senior aide Gertrude unexpectedly spoke in court language. She spoke using the words nearest to my heart.
夢も理想もその実現も連帯なくして成り立たないと知りたまえ。人は理想には耳を貸さない。近景謹んでお尋ね申し上げ立てまつる。なればいかにして理想は叶えられるものなりや。
The senior aide answered calmly. People don't listen to the ideals or dreams of others. However, people do listen to their friends. So if you talk to your friends about your ideals, they might offer you their help. No matter how grand your ideals may be, if your words cannot convince anybody, you may as well be blowing hot air. How does one convince others then? There is no way other than for your hearts and minds to interact. Regardless of your ideals, that comes always first. Without communication, nothing can be conveyed. There we were, the two of us, in the middle of the nighttime crowd in front of the station, sitting straight up on the ground and looking up at the moon. Somehow, despite the lack of sake and dango, and while feeling oddly calm in the congestion of people moving back and forth, numerous enough to be called a veritable forest, we were having this strange moon viewing party. It's true that I may be inexperienced as a member of the society. Perhaps I could be called one of those typical uncooperative youngsters. Perhaps my bad manners eclipsed my shining ideals. Perhaps I was mistaken from the very start. Should I quit? But then, where and how will I get employed again? I finally found a stable job. Now's the time for me to build my life. Perhaps my enthusiasm has expired by the time I graduated school. Is that really all I was good for? Can I no longer fight for my dreams and ideals? Have I made a mistake? It turned out that Gertrude had taken care of the cardboard boxes still left at the workplace. Now, it didn't have to be in the way at work anymore. I didn't know how, and it seemed she was aware of all the circumstances surrounding me. Later on, I learned that she was an acquaintance of the chief clerk, who had some concerns and asked her for advice. As a newcomer, Gertrude had been similarly eccentric and suffered her share of hardships as well. Well, you mean to say that Gertrude was like Cornelia at first as well? I mean, I can imagine that. The chief clerk must have thought that without it coming from another girl like that, I won't take their words to heart. ideals, dreams, myself, and the world. Unless I made them all work together, I wouldn't accomplish anything. Perhaps that is what being an adult is about. Perhaps I needed to reach that level and get used to it to become an Chiester. I haven't reached it yet, so this job isn't suitable for me. However, on that day, I was finally able to part with the most immature part of myself. Well, I didn't exactly part with it. I just put on the back burner for now. My goal is to still become an Chiester. However, that comes later. Before that, I want to become an adult. And once I accomplish that, I'll start working toward my goal again. And so, our conversation ended there.
Oh, すごいね。あの段ボール、一人で全部配り切ったの。
無理でした。
お、こうが。
慣れないので恥ずかしいなりや。
The chief clerk was smiling. Senior Aide must have told him about everything. He probably knew all about my childhood dream, the difficulties in my life, and my decision to start anew. I felt like I was an open book, which was very embarrassing.
人はね、年齢や就職で大人になるんじゃありません。その後の人生をね、じっくりかけて円熟させていって、大人というものを探すものなんです。コーネリアちゃんは若いから、いつも何かに間に合わないかのような焦燥感に脅かされてるかもしれないけれど、そんなことはないよ。人生なんて本当に長いんだから。いつか君のなりたい自分になれるといいね。
Yeah, for sure.
はい。
That hideous, woefully inadequate and unchanging workplace seemed just a little more relaxing than usual.
君はお弁当でしたっけ？明日のお昼は係のみんなで近所のお寿司屋さんにでも行ってみませんか？じゃあ決まりで。明日はお弁当持ってきちゃダメですよ。あとプロジェクトのまとめを課長に出しておいてね。あとお茶をもらえる？
はい。ナリア。
This was a story from long, long before Cornelia became a member of the Eisenjungfrau. Yeah, look at her go. That's nice. Alright, well, there's still some more left, I think.
こんなに大量のティッシュいらないです。
There was a heap of tissues piled up on Deleanor's paper tray. Gertrude had divided the tissues between her colleagues, and that heap was Deleanor's portion of it.
お裾分けです。あれば役立ちます。お茶をこぼしたとき拭いたり、こぼしたお菓子のくずを拭いたり。
And, you know, like cleaning your forehead of sweat after writing all those papers.
鼻をチンしたり、ほっぺについたケチャップを拭いたり。
Right, basically, now Deleanor is gonna have like a life supply of tissues.
いずれも上司ドラノールには必要です。
必要ないです。
Wiping ketchup from her cheek must be from all those McDonald's that she is eating during the weekends. All for her to get those McDonald's toys.
お子様扱いです。いらないです。大きなお世話です。
She's adorable. Yeah, well, like with this is a new voice actress. Like, my god. The ketchup incident from the other day is still lingering in her mind. Eleanor puffed her cheeks.
なら、それはティッシュではなく書類です。
My baby.
ですから、ご決裁をお願い申し上げ立てまつる。全部のティッシュ1枚ずつすべてにハンコをお願いするものなり。
ハンコ。嫌です。ですです。
Yeah, okay. This. This on all these documents. This.
ですですです。
Every hair on Dillon's body was standing on end. Despite being in the management, Delnor had a phobia of stamps. I'm sorry, what? A phobia of stamps? This was a torture, inflicted in order for her to get over it and start stamping things. The young newcomer came to Gertrude's mind. It made her remember her own time as a newbie. Such bittersweet memories. Who knows if she had forgotten the passion that motivated her? And who knows whether that made her an adult?
ついてないです。今日はケチャップも青のりも大丈夫です。
Without realizing, Gertrude had been absentmindedly patting the head of her ever youthful superior. The head inquisitor herself seems the least adult of us all. Yeah. I mean, remember what I said before about how she wasn't even using court language in the mail, like last story. Like, look at her. Okay, here's a story that I'm sure all of us have been looking forward to. Arigato for 556. Okay, you know what? Let me take a wild guess. Actually, I could make like 2 wild guesses. Like, it depends. Either this is gonna be about, well, about the moment when Rosa and Maria had that huge fight in episode 4 to the point where it led to 556's death, and this will tell the story of that conflict, but in a more magical way, something along the lines of the Chiesters and Sakutaro fighting the Black Witch with magic and huge towers and soldiers and such, and it's gonna retell that story in a more magical way. That, or this is gonna tell the story of the aftermath of 556's death. It's either one or the other, although I get the feeling that this is gonna tell the story of after, like her death and all that, her reaching heaven and such. So let's go. The Chiester Sisters' Imperial Guards were supposedly a memorial corps formed in commemoration of the flight of the Red Dragon. However, that was merely a superstition. According to the Ministry of Defense, the formation and all operations of the Chiester Corps were carefully planned for. For 68 years, the Ministry has been gathering design documents from all domestic military magic manufacturers in order to create a new type of magical soldiers for the Imperial Guard. There were strict specifications set for the so-called 3F project. These specifications, namely, were first detection, first shot, and first kill. Certain convenience factors, such as ease of maintenance and quick deployment, were also requested. At long last, 2 well-known companies, the Rack and Chiester, have formed to design a new model of a magical life form. The Rack? And submitted their respective design documents. Just replace C with T, and now it would actually make more sense to have such a company like that. The RAC have made impressive changes to the traditional Model M to bring it up to date with the new Imperial Guard specifications, putting emphasis specifically on fighting strength as not to tarnish the name of the King Pentagon. In order to meet the 3F specification, the model was given overwhelming independent offensive capabilities and a tremendous capacity for onboard weaponry. This model could demonstrate heavy firepower even as just a single unit, and at least based on the design document, was powerful enough to rewrite the entire history of weapons. Oh. The Ministry is so obsessed with the words single unit and heavy firepower that Model M would almost certainly win the competition, even though there was no official word of that as of yet. On the other hand, the Chiester company desired to emphasize quick maintenance, operation, and deployment. Contrary to the RAC's Model M, the Chiester series model was inexpensive, robust, and easy to deploy in large quantities. Yeah. Easy to deploy in large quantities. I mean, have you seen them? In order to meet the 3F specification, Chiester have decided to avoid single unit implementation plans altogether. The Chiester series was developed with a unique communication ability that allowed them to coordinate matters of tactics. Despite the series having multiple advantages, the officials were under the impression that the minister intended to create individual units powerful enough to be King Pentagon's personal guard, so they haven't paid any mind to the Chiester design at all. Alright, let's see. Who is the one who originated with the design for the Chiesters? Who was the horny one? However, that decision had to be reevaluated due to the ongoing changes in the state of military equipment. I mean, it wasn't me, I swear to God. I wasn't in... I think I wasn't. I wasn't part of the design for the Chiesters. I know I'm a fan of bunny girls and such, but still, hell, known for its vast quantity of military resources, was feared as the greatest military power at the time. However, Heaven managed to rewrite military history in 1971 by successfully constructing the Spirit Particle Combat System, SPCS. This allowed to completely bypass the usual military approach that relied entirely on brute force and strength. With this new system, the figure of a heavily armed lone hero became a thing of the past and was relegated to fairy tales and such. The Chiester company was quick to react to the change and added anti-spirit particle combat capabilities to the Chiester series. This took the form of the most prominent feature of the Chiester series, the so-called rabbit ears. Okay. The RAC, meanwhile, could not modify the Model M's traditional hardware to include the new capabilities. I wanna see the RAC. Taken out of context. Because of this, the rapidly evolving and adaptable system that Chiester had to offer was now on a whole different level. Additionally, in direct contrast with the Model M, Chiester has sacrificed the amount of pre-installed onboard equipment so that their model could specialize in stealth. In addition to that, the Chiester lobbyists were showing strong efforts. The Chiester lobbyists? Are you kidding me? That year, the Minister of Defense made a substantial change to the 3S specification and declared anti-spirit particle combat measures to be a top priority. And thus, the previously overlooked Chiester series ended up in the limelight in just a single day. The final implementation of the Chiester series has been successful, and the company was given the privilege of naming this new series the Memorial Order, formed in commemoration of the flight of the Red Dragon. The Chiester sisters, being the first Imperial Guards to go against the conventional idea being implemented as a single, standalone units, were noticed by conservative government officials who were still failing to grasp the idea of this Spirit Particle Combat System. They went on to immediately declare the Chiester series as cheap, primitive, obviously ineffective dolls. However, the heavily specialized modular designs allowed for a low manufacturing cost, simplified further development as well as increased the speed of deployment. It eventually became obvious to everyone that choosing specialized units according to their respective abilities would allow to deal with any mission imaginable. The individual abilities of each Chiester unit was a far cry from those of the other heavily armed Imperial Guards. However, this squad of sisters formed from specialized soldiers, each with their own area of expertise, kept improving their results with each fight they participated in. Okay, cool. The name Sisters was given to the Chiester units due to their powerful intercommunication capabilities. Chiester 410 was designed as a sniper. Aside from having a phenomenal firing range, she was equipped with a special analog radar. The spirit particles themselves provide precise information. With that in mind, their data should obviously be read digitally. However, the battlefield itself is analog, not digital. The possibility for unexpected circumstances outside of pure ones and zeros. The possibility for unexpected circumstances outside of pure ones and zeros did exist. Chiester 410 was designed specifically to excel in that gray area. Early on, she was ranked quite low. During practice, her skills as a sniper were mediocre at best, and her particular personality didn't do her any favors either. With the way she talks, she made her decisions based on not so much on the information provided by friendly troops, as on her own ideas, which led to her being thought of as a rogue who refused to follow orders. Her? However, after she was paired with Chiester 4-5, who specialized in fire calculations, 410 started to rapidly improve. The following year, she participated in a war between several puppet nations. Puppet nations. Oh my god. And dramatically blossomed into an excellent field sniper. You know, it made me think of Maria and the way she plays. I don't know, is Maria the type to play war games with her fellow buddies and such? I don't know. Maria doesn't strike me as that kind of girl. Not to say that girls wouldn't play like boys and such, and you know, with wars and toy soldier like mindsets and such and monsters. But still, it is interesting. In just a week after taking up her post, she had achieved a grand victory against the 34th Automated Giant Squadron by using an armor-piercing sniping bow from a range of 1800 minute, causing fatal damage to 2 units and disabling 1 unit's walking capacity. And then again, given the way that the Chiesters were designed to begin with their personality and the militaresque way they are in similar fashion to the Inquisitors and, well, not so much the Chiesters, not so much the Seven Stakes, but like the Chiesters and the Inquisitors and such. I don't know, maybe Maria did watch some of those action-packed cartoons as well on TV. I won't be surprised if I'm thinking about it. Her military achievements only kept increasing from that point on, and a year later she was promoted. Her former teacher was present on the promotion ceremony with a face full of shock and surprise. Thanks to the golden bow. Oh my god, again with the bow, boo, ba. Like, what in the world? Bow, the symbol of sniper's honor. Her talents only grew further. Ah yes, well, with her golden booba. She achieved all that much faster than even the most elite snipers of the Chiester Imperial Guards. She is to be praised for her bow, or so they say anyway. It's nice to think that 410's rare talent could bloom thanks to the excellent support provided by 4-5. However, as I said this, giving the credit to both of them, 410 burst into laughter and told me the truth.
45が必死こいてクソ真面目に測量したデータを無視してやるとあたふた困り出すのが面白かっただけね。410はいつもひどいんです。私がちゃんと当たるように頑張って測量してるのに全然無視したりとかするんです。あんまりです。 45の測量は結構おかしいから、それくらいでちょうどいいね。結構なんてひどいです。最近はほとんどないです。いっぱい怒られたから特に注意してるんです。
And let's talk about Chiester 4-5 as well. 4-5 was specifically created for the purpose of spirit particle calculations during combat. Her calculations are meant to be ruthlessly exact, with not even a 1-bit margin for error. However, these digital measurements cannot be interpreted well by units designed to process analog data. Furthermore, she was weak and easily intimidated, which led to her being unsure of her own results. In a matter of speaking, this made her the worst measurer possible. Needless to say, her training record was poor as well, causing her peers in the Imperial Guard to trust her with nothing but rear surveillance, treating her like baggage. Pairing 4-5 together with the rebellious 4-10 was interpreted by the majority as an attempt to get rid of the two most problematic Chiester sisters. However, since they became a pair, they began to produce excellent results. I guess anything can happen in this world. Well, that's nice. What about 00? Like, she is their boss. How does she feel about all this? I struggled to understand this for the longest time. However, I may have finally reached my answer as to why this strange duo became the amazing sniper combination that they are. I believe the reason to be that 4-10 is the leader of the pair. Yeah, thanks to her stubbornness and disobedience, 4-10 was usually paired with more experienced soldiers who could monitor and control her. Even if 4-10 followed orders only half-heartedly, she still could not disobey her superiors. She couldn't act independently. However, 4-10 could not keep 4-10 under her control. This finally gave 4-10 the space she needed to demonstrate her true talent. Calling this independence is a bit of a stretch though. Perhaps it would be more accurate to describe it as 4-10 running amok and ignoring 4-5's orders. So I thought that perhaps 4-10's recklessness is what allowed her capabilities as a sniper to blossom. However, that didn't seem to be the only reason. 4-10 liked to tease 4-5 by purposely ignoring her measurements. Yet she could still pull off very difficult attacks. Such a stunning shot surprised and shocked 4-5. 4-10's self-satisfaction with this has further contributed to her military success. Honestly, 4-5 hated being treated like 4-10's toy. She was a nice and honest person, and she justly saw this mocking and harassing relationship as unfair to her. She has, on several occasions, petitioned to be paired up with someone other than 4-10. However, the headquarters were very well aware of the military success of this specific pairing, so her petitions were always denied, aka 4-10 is quite a bitch, so you're stuck with her, champ. Ideally, both of them would be proud of the results they achieved. But 4-10's precise shooting was obviously the main point of interest for others. Therefore, many contributed their successes to 4-10 alone. Even 4-10 herself has once declared that to be the case. Aw man, 4-5 not getting the recognition that she deserves. This obviously didn't make 4-5 very happy. She was completely overshadowed by 4-10. Since I was their superior, I felt responsible and decided to ask 4-10 why she treated her partner so harshly. And never even said a word of gratitude to her.
"お前とて45からリンクがなければ数々の狙撃は成し得なかったはず。もう少しそのことを45に感謝してもいいのではないか。
ねえねえ、またダブルオーがお説教を言い出したね。
4-10 stared at me blankly. 4-5 had her own share of problems, and I tried to explain to 4-10 that she would try to put her mind at ease. Looking a little indignant from hearing that, 410 spoke to me.
00は誤解してるにゃ。私は確かに戦果を威張るし自慢もするにゃ。でもそれを私一人の戦果だなんて思ったことはないし、いつだって二人の戦果だと思ってるにゃ。
そうなのか。お前の普段の言動からはとても二人の戦果だったと思っていたとは思えんのだが。
失礼な話だに。私は45をこれまでで、そしてこれからも最高のパートナーだと思ってるに。
Pardon, yeah.
45とならできないことは何もないに。最高のパートナー。いつまでもずっとペアでいたいと思ってるに。
Seeing her smile, I couldn't bring myself to tell her that 45 had petitioned for a partner change. Aw, man.
つまりお前には45に感謝する気持ちはあるのか？
あるに。当然だに。そんなこと00にくどくど言われる方がムカつくに。
Instead of admonishing her, I should have really been admonishing myself. I finally understood the main point of difference between them. 410 is rebellious. She often exaggerates things and boasts. It seemed to me, and probably the most outsiders, that she was merely boasting of her own abilities. However, she knew that she couldn't do it without 4-5, and was trying to praise her as well. I don't know, kind of a 410 boasting about her abilities in a way that she thought she was also praising 4-5, but it wasn't made that apparent from an outsider's perspective, I guess. Ah, being socially awkward like that. not even having the social awareness of what she's saying. Not only that, but she acknowledges 4-5 as the best possible partner and hopes to remain by her side forever. But those things never reached 4-5, and that was a problem. She just thought that she was incompetent, and that 410 was mugging her and making fun of her. She thought that their success was only thanks to 410 alone, and that a more experienced Chiester could be much more helpful as a partner to 410. So I spoke to 410 clearly. I told her that she would express her gratitude with words, if she really is thankful.
いやに。
どうして？
感謝してます。ありがとうなんて。そんなこっぱずかしいことわざわざ口に出して言うなんて情けないに。45と私は最高のパートナーだから、今さらそんなことを言わなくても心は十分通じ合ってるに。
The things were too complicated to put into words. If she did put them into words, it would dilute the raw emotion. Having told me this, 410 chose to ignore my advice. Because I'm blinded in my right eye, I became inefficient in my specialty of reconnaissance. So my final task seems to be keeping this troublesome pair of snipers in line. 410 was also aware of my blind spot, so she nimbly dodged my emotionally charged step. Chiester 556 was created as a prototype for state-of-the-art weaponry, and thus she joined the Imperial Guard for experimental purposes. Okay, she specialized in fire support, or in other words, the heavy firepower. At the time, 410 has already achieved worldwide fame as a charismatic sniper, so the management believed that joining her up together with 556 and her new weaponry was a surefire way for 410 to achieve ever greater victories.
分隊火力支援？そりゃまたごっついのが来たに。私たちのペアは遠距離に特化していますが、大量の敵による一斉突撃を近距離で食い止める力には欠けています。
Okay.
きっとそれを補ってくれる方なんじゃないかと。遠距離で美味しい獲物だけもらって、あとは神出鬼没に蒸発ってのがうちらのお箱に。分隊火力支援なんてのろま必要ないに。
I mean, what kind of weapon, or I guess I should ask, what kind of way of shooting does she do? Because you know, you look at Chiester 410 with the way she snipes with the golden arrow that goes like all over the place. You can understand that as like a sniper or an arrow. If we're talking about fire support, does that mean that it's something like automatic, like a rifle? Does it shoot like smaller golden arrows, like, but multiple ones at the same time that just go all over the place? What is that like? 410 was saying that they had no need for a newbie who would only get in their way. However, since 4-5 thought of herself as a hindrance as well, those words hurt her. But 410 simply didn't want anyone to intrude on her relationship with 4-5. Is this new introduction of Chiester 556 a way of making the story end in 410 being honest with her feelings in front of 4-5? Well, honest in the sense that she realizes that she needs to say this out loud to 4-5 because 4-5 does not understand 410's intentions. Like, 410 thinks that she does, but apparently not. So 410 has to make that thing clear by the end of the story. So maybe 556 is going to be able to help with that in some way. I understood what both of them were feeling, and the situation made me uncomfortable. The scar on my ear started acting up an itch.
"556 準備はいいか?
はい、556準備よしです。ありがとうございます。
556 was practicing on the outdoor shooting range. This was her debut as a state-of-the-art weaponry. At a glance, 556 seemed to be on pretty much the same wavelength as 545. She was meek, polite, and utterly incompatible with 410.
目標青の標的群45測定開始。
了解。地形測定開始。誤差修正。556にデータリンク。ねえ、どの程度のもんかお手並み拝見に。45よりデータリンク。目標補足。感謝します。攻撃開始。
556 drew a large, crude lead bow. It didn't have even a hint of the greatness that the golden bow 410 and 45 possessed. However, elegance has nothing to do with firepower. In direct contrast to 556's gentle looks, the bow spat out a swelling lead serpent towards the 10-odd targets standing in a row. Swelling lead serpent, okay. The serpents slithered under the targets as if licking and tasting them, and then cutting them down sideways, crushing them to tiny pieces. It was nothing like beautifully sniping and piercing the opponent's weak point with a single golden arrow. Instead, it was an utterly terrifying attack that made use of dozens or even hundreds of lead arrows. Okay, so it is like a rifle of some sorts. Or like a Gatling gun that would completely overwhelm any opponent. Yeah. We couldn't help but stand in awe of the merciless offensive power of this new type of weaponry. Then, I immediately understood. This overwhelming firepower would only set 410's heart alight. There's no doubt, this will be a giant headache. Oh, look, it's starting! 410 is teasing her already. What a pain.
なかなかやるに。ありがとう。45のデータリンクのおかげです。いえ、あのくらいの距離でしたら556の射撃レーダーでも十分に捕捉できますし。でも45のデータのおかげで射撃を成功できました。ありがとう。 うも。
5x6 had a calm demeanor and a gentle way of talking. She also had the tendency to express her gratitude indiscriminately. Almost every time she responded to someone, she would thank them.
でも美しくないに。ほんの15個の的を撃ち抜くだけであんなにバリバリと鉛の矢を撃ちまくって、真ん中に小さく穴を開ければいいものを的ごと粉々にしちゃって。
こら410、戦争に美しいも美しくないもないぞ。556の射撃に難癖をつけるな。556も気にするな。410は少しひねくれたところがあって。
いえ、そんなことはありません。ダブルありがとう。そして410もありがとう。そうですね、美しくないし、いくら戦争でもああいう戦い方は良くないと思います。それを教えてくれてありがとう。
Even though 410 was just finding something to nitpick, 5x6 smiled gently and thanked her anyway.
410や45ほどの腕があるなら、正確に狙ったところを射抜くことで不必要な痛みも無駄な犠牲も一切出さずに、最小限の痛みだけで任務を達成できると思います。でも私のような乱暴な射撃では相手を無慈悲に打ち砕くだけ。戦場であっても無慈悲であることは許されないと思います。それを教えてくれてありがとう。
410 never expected her rudeness to be met with gratitude. Afterwards, many similar incidents took place, with 410 picking fights about various things and 45 desperately trying to patch things up. And it always ended up with 556's words of gratitude. Look at this sweetheart of a Chiester. This kept repeating itself until 410 nicknamed 556 the Thanks Bunny. Yeah, she does have a tendency to thank a lot. The Arigato 556, and stormed off. This seemed to sour 4-5's mood completely. 410 walked away sulkily, and 4-5 went after her.
ありがとうウサギとはひどいあだ名だな。
いいえ、チームメイトに初日にあだ名をもらえるなんて思いませんでしたから嬉しいです。ありがとうございます。
どうしてそんなにもありがとうと？何か意味があるのなら教えてほしい。
410's rebellious nature was clearly reflected in her speech as well, raising similar questions. For example, that Nia at the end. But 556 didn't seem like a troublemaker, and she didn't realize the irony behind her thanking everyone like that. I was curious to learn more about it. And that was when 556 spoke without thanking anyone for the first time.
私は強いです。シエスタ本社試験チームでも抜群の成績でした。ですが、うぬぼれたことはありません。私が最高の成績を出せるのは、そのために側面を支援してくれたチームメイトがあってこそです。だから私は常に自分の成績はそれを支えてくれた近しい仲間たちのおかげだと感謝しています。
爪の赤を煎じて410に飲ませたい気持ちだ。
でも私はその感謝を相手に伝わるようにしていたのか疑問に思ったことがあります。
疑問？
はい、私はみんなに感謝しています。でもそれを誰にも伝えず分かってもらえず二度と会えない関係になってしまったら、その相手は私に感謝されたことはなかったと生涯思ってしまうでしょう。
Oh my god.
私が本当は感謝しているとしても、私たちはシエスタ姉妹近衛隊の兵士です。いえ、命ある限り誰であっても、ある日突然人は二度と会話ができなくなる関係になります。突然訪れたその日に慌ててそれまでの感謝を伝えようと思っても、もうそれを伝えることはできない。その時相手は私のことをどう思うのでしょうね。私はそれを思うと悲しいのです。
There were countless people she was thankful to, but she could never truly convey that to them. So some of them thought that everyone considers them worthless.
そしてその誤解を解く機会がある日突然永遠に失われたとしたら、その人に私は感謝されたことがない冷たい女の子だと永遠に思われ続けるでしょう。そして私もどうしてその時が訪れるまでそれを一度も伝えることができなかったのかと永遠に後悔するでしょう。きっといつか思いが伝わる。言葉で伝えるのは野暮。互いは通じ合ってるから今さら言葉なんて必要ない。
And, well, I guess that circles back to 410.
私そういうのが嫌いになったんです。だから私は全ての人との出会いに常に次の機会が唐突に失われるかもしれないことを常に怯えています。こうして00と話している今日でさえ最後の日かもしれない。明日のあなたに私は出会える幸運を賜れないかもしれない。だから私は二度と相手に感謝を伝える機会を逃したくなくて、常にありがとうと相手に言い添えるのです。だからこんな話を聞いてくれてありがとう。
That surely speaks. That surely speaks quite the volume there. I think that's how you say it, and I think that's how the saying goes. Like, it speaks volumes. Not just in this particular story with 410 and all that and her problem, but in general. You just never know when it's gonna be your last day. It's quite morbid to think of that, but it's true. It's even more so a problem in like present day, especially with the digital era and such. That was a sad conversation. If 4-5 were to suddenly disappear one day, 410 will no doubt regret being unable to convey her gratitude to her. Or maybe 4-5 would forever be wrapped in the despair of never hearing a single thank you from her. Even though 410 was truly thankful to her.
だから私はあなたにもありがとうを。
不要だな、私には。私は分隊のリーダーとして誰も脱落させない。そのような無様を許さない。それは貴様とてだ。感謝の言葉をみだりに使い、いつでも我が分隊を抜け出せるように心の準備をするなど不届き千万。そのふぬけた根性、この私がみっちりと叩き直してやる。ようこそ我が分隊へ。貴様を歓迎する。
ありがとうございます、00。シエスタ556、着任します。
This surely must have hit 00 a lot. The day Chiester 556 died. From that day on, they became the personal guard of Lady Maria. What about you? You should also thank your one dear too. I'll still have the time.